everyone, it's Justin back with a new video. And I know this video is late. It's well over a week late, but I wanted to kind of just take some time and make sure that I could really formulate my formulate my thoughts for this video. Because I have a lot to talk about in regards to the topic today, which is iOS 13. Um I'm going to try to condense this video as much as I can. I'm not going to make it I don't want to make it too long, but I do have a lot to say. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, iOS 13. What's my verdict on it? Well, guys, I have to be brutally honest because I am a very honest person and I'm not going to lie. I'm very opinionated and I feel I have a very strong opinion about iOS 13, and it is an opinion that is quite negative, to be honest. iOS 13 has been probably one of the most buggiest, if not the buggiest release in the history of iOS, and I'm not exaggerating at all. Yes, iOS 11 was bad, but this is on a whole new level of bad. I don't even know where to start, guys. Like, I've tried to think so long about this, and I don't even know where to start. I think the main topic I'm going to focus on today is voiceover, since of course I use that on a regular basis. I rely on it, so I think that's where our focus is going to be. Of course, there are other aspects of iOS 13 that are a mess, but voiceover is a whole new can of worms. It's been atrocious, and I'm going to explain why. So, for those who are voiceover users, you know that Apple did a complete redesign to voiceover. They added a plethora of features into iOS 13. And the features are good, they're great. But it came at a pretty big cost. And that is a very unreliable screen reader. Now, when I say it's unreliable, I mean it's unreliable. One of the most annoying bugs that I've encountered is, I don't know if this has to do with Alex or not, but sometimes when I'm reading when I'm reading an article from a link, let's say from Facebook or something, I click on a link and it takes me to the little I guess mini browser in Facebook. Or in this actually happens in Safari too sometimes. Alex will sometimes some words will be cut out as I'm reading, so I'll have to swipe back. I'll swipe to the left and then swipe to the right again. So basically I have to go to the previous word and then go forward again to the word that was cut out. That is a bug that I've experienced, and it's a quite annoying one. Also, another issue regarding links in web pages and stuff is the amount of lag that tends to occur when you are scrolling through the web on certain sites. Now, I can't name all the sites that are the culprits of this because I browse the internet every day, multiple times a day. I'm on the internet a lot, so I can't really tell you what websites are causing this, but voiceover will get sluggish. Another issue that happens as well is the new haptic feedback in voiceover that they added. One of two things will happen. Either the haptics will get out of sync, and they'll be really delayed, or they'll just completely die and you have to reset VoiceOver. That is, I mean, that's a little minor annoyance, but I do like the haptics. I feel like they're better implemented than TalkBack's haptic feedback. Another issue that I faced, and this was actually in iOS 13.2, is if you had a notification that you haven't looked at, or even if you have a notification in Notification Center, and you lock your screen, VoiceOver will do this thing where it'll say whatever app has a notification. So, like, for example, it'll be like Facebook, one notification. Like, right when you turn your screen off, it'll do that. Now, I'm on the iOS 13.3 public beta, and I mean, I can't really discuss too much about it, but that was just something that was absolutely one of the most annoying bugs that I have ever experienced. I don't know how that slipped through. Well, I kind of do, because iOS 13 was rushed. That's hence why we have all these issues. But it's just, this software is plagued with issues. And Apple is going in a new direction with iOS 14 and future versions of iOS that I feel like could produce better quality software. And I may do a video about this topic and go over what exactly is happening. It's a little bit hard to explain. I would say it's a pretty technical change that is going on. I mean, I could try to explain it in layman's terms in a separate video, but I hope that whatever, the changes that are being made to how their software is developed will carry over to accessibility and just everything, because this is just inexcusable. I mean, a company like Apple who has they're well known for their commitment to accessibility, and it's not good. And I'm being 100% honest with you guys. It's not good. There needs to be iOS 14 needs to be it needs to be like iOS 12. It needs to be a stability release with some minor features sprinkled on top. And honestly, speaking of iOS 12, part of me wishes I could put my phone back on iOS 12, to be brutally honest with you. I do wish I could. Now, of course, when 13.3 is official, I can perhaps do an update to this video and let you guys know what I've experienced as far as improvements go. I will say that things are better, but again, I can't really discuss too much right now. But I could do a video about that as well. So back to the bugs that I've had. Another weird issue I've had, and I'm not sure, I don't know why this tends to occur, but I think it could be more of a Facebook issue. I'm not too positive because it doesn't happen anywhere else, but I set up an activity in VoiceOver, which I will have a video coming out with that as well. I just got to find time to record that. So I set up an activity for not just Facebook, but other apps that, most of the apps that I use that involve text, that is, you know apps that you read text in, right? So um in Facebook, one of the weird things that happens to me is sometimes, because I have my in the activity, I actually, when I open up um any of the apps that I have set, that I have programmed, um the speaking rate will go down to 50%. So sometimes what will happen is I will open up Facebook, and, sorry guys, I will be scrolling, and I'll come across a post, and sometimes voiceover will go back to the default speaking rate, which my normal default is 85 is 80%. Actually, it used to be 85, but I dropped down to 80, just because I don't know, I feel like it's more smooth when it's a little bit slower. But I dropped the speaking rate down to 80%, and sometimes it I'll be scrolling through Facebook, and I'll go to read a post, and I can understand at 80%. I can. But it's still kind of an issue that I face. It should, it doesn't work properly, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But it'll just default back to the um speaking rate that I have it set at. So that's a little bit annoying. Um, Another issue, and I haven't personally experienced this myself, but I've heard um many people, especially on the Applevis forums, um, who have posted about this. Um, there used to be an issue, and again, I never experienced it, so I can't really comment much on it. But there was an issue where people would have their phones connected to a pair of headphones, or and maybe their iPads too. I don't really. I mean, I'm sure this was an iPad OS, because iPad OS is basically iOS, just with a different. It's just a marketing ploy, I guess. But anyways, um, the issue was when people would have their headphones plugged in and they'd be in a phone call. Um, when they would end the call with the participant that they're speaking to, voiceover would completely lose speech. And actually, now that I remember, I did actually see. Well, I heard about it. I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and it actually happened to him, and it was nasty. It's a nasty bug, and um, from what I understand, that issue was fixed in 13.2, but that was a major, major, major issue. Um, that that is just very unexcusable. Like, like something in a phone, like, and regarding phone calls is broken. Like, okay, I get it. It's software. Every operating system's gonna have bugs. I get that. But a phone call, it takes a phone call with an accessory connected to cause voiceover to die, just crash. What the hell is that, Apple? For real, what is that? That is a crock of shit right there. Excuse my language. I do cuss on this channel sometimes, but that is a crock of shit. That is something that should not be happening. Okay? Now, yeah, you can, if you know how to um turn on and off voiceover, either you double click the side button, or if you still have a home button, you double click the home. I mean, triple click, sorry. Triple click the side button or triple click the home button. And you can, if you have your accessibility shortcut set up, or you can even ask Siri if that's something you prefer. But, it's something that I don't understand how it slipped through the cracks. I don't, that's appalling right there. I cannot understand how something like that just slipped through. Um, I really can't. I mean, it's it's just it's unbelievable, and I mean, I've been fortunate, and I haven't experienced it, but, I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, I didn't experience it, for therefore so therefore it doesn't exist." There's too many people that do that. They'll say, "Oh, I haven't experienced a bug, so you're making it up." No, people use their phones differently than you use your phone differently than, I don't know, the person next to you, the person you're talking to on the phone. You use your phone differently than them. And, you might not, there always has to be there's always got to be a trigger for the bug. The bug is not just going to randomly just be there. You got to be doing something to trigger the bug. So, it's just, it depends. It all depends on how you use your phone. You can't blatantly say, "Oh, that bug is fake because I don't have it, so you don't have it either." No, it's not how that works. The bug exists. You just have to find it. So it's just it's annoying how people do that. I hate that so much. Um, let's see what else do we got here. Um, Another bug that I actually have ran into. Now this was resolved a long time ago. Um, is when you would sometimes when you would change your voice on, um, and this was actually pretty bad in the earlier betas of iOS 13.0. So it's kind of understandable, but it did persist in a few of the public releases too. Like I think 13.0 was still an issue in the public release, which is why one of the reasons why Apple just skipped 13.1, because 13.0 was just a joke, and even 13.1 was still a joke. iOS 13 in general is kind of a joke up until this point. But um, there used to be this very strange issue. If you were using Alex and you went to, let's say, Ava, um, a lot of times what would happen is Alex, for some reason, VoiceOver would not see Alex as a button. It would see it as a text element. It would see it as a word. So you couldn't um, invoke Alex again unless you installed Samantha Enhanced, which was a workaround. And that was another issue too. That leads me into another issue: is installing voices in iOS 13 is absolutely broken. And I mean, it's not really broken anymore, but it was broken, and I mean broken. It did not work. Um, so like if you try to install a certain voice, it would tell you it was downloading, but then it would just completely, it would just stop. Like it wouldn't even finish. You'd have to like tap it a bunch of times and just fiddle around. It was a pain. Um, but that bug with Alex was very strange. That it would see Alex as a word, so you could actually copy the word Alex to your clipboard just by swiping down through in your actions order. There was a copy button. You could double tap it, and you could actually copy that from your clipboard. It was weird. Um, so that was that was quite an annoying one. For some of you, it might not be a big deal if you don't use Alex. I mean, I do use Alex, but I still don't see it as a really big deal. But it's still a bug nonetheless, and it needs to be discussed because bugs need to be mentioned. Um, Also, um, in the first couple betas of 13, and I think if I remember correctly, this was in 13.0 as well. Um, there was an issue where if you're a browser screen input user like myself, um, you were unable to enter your passcode with browser screen input. Now that's not the biggest deal since you can um, just use the standard keyboard to do that, but it's a feature that is enabled on your iPhone, and so therefore, if it doesn't work, that's an issue. Now another issue that occurred, and this is a really weird one. My friend actually told me about this because I couldn't run beta 1. But in beta 1, the braille screen input gestures were reversed. So you would flick left for space and right for delete. Like they somehow broke the gestures. So that was interesting. I'm glad I didn't have to experience that because I think that would drive me off the wall because I use braille screen input multiple times a day. In fact, I use it to title my videos half the time. So yeah, that was, oh man, that was just laughable. I don't even know what to say about that. So that was just my experience with iOS 13 so far. Of course, I could talk about the notification banner issue, which is not a voice. I mean, I don't think it's a voiceover issue, and it's probably not, but there's an issue where the notification banners tend to not disappear, and they get in the way of the voiceover cursor, and it's just very frustrating and something that I don't know if it'll get fixed. I hope, like I said, I hope iOS 14 is more of a feature, not a feature release, more of a stability release than anything. Kind of like a cumulative update for Windows, where it's just bug fixes and security. Maybe you add a little bit of a feature on top, whatever. But I want iOS 14 to be mainly bug fixes and security. When I watch WWDC keynote, I'll be excited if I hear stability and performance. I'll jump out of my seat. But anyways, this was just my semi-quick overall verdict on iOS 13. Not a good experience. Weekly updates. It seems like it's been a mess, and I hope, like I said, I sincerely hope that 14 is what iOS 12 was. So anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. And I will be back with the tutorial on how to set up a voiceover activity. I'll probably record that tomorrow or later on tonight. I can't record it now because my voice is I'm starting to lose my voice. My throat's getting dry. So with that being said, I will talk to you all in the next video. Have a good day or good night wherever you may be, and peace out, everyone.